My time in junior high school were definitely the three worst years of my life. I was depressed, I was suicidal, and I just didn't know what to do with myself. Everyone pretty much hated me in that school. I was the most hated kid by far in that school. For whatever reason, it's just how it was. Everyone just didn't fuck with me and really had a problem with me just existing. There was this one kid though who seemed like the exception to that. I considered him a brother, like the brother I never had. Someone who meant so much to me, and I would consider like one of the reasons why I didn't end up taking my own life, because at least every day I had him. You know, we'd spend time together at class, at lunch, after school. Sometimes we go to each other's houses, or even playing online on PlayStation 3. We did that so much. And the thing is, it did start off as a genuine friendship and a genuine connection. We met actually in the second grade. That's when we first met, and then we became good friends over the years. But then we really got close, like probably around the fifth grade. So then that friendship kind of transitioned and carried over into junior high school. And to his credit, when everyone else was just like straight up like, I want nothing to do with you, go fuck yourself, you're a piece of shit, no one likes you, he stuck by me. He at least tolerated my existence, and we hung out together and did things that I didn't really do with anybody else in that school. I was very isolated from pretty much everyone else in school. So, and at least I had him. He was, what I viewed him as my best friend that I ever had at that point. Um, but what happens over the years, you start to realize things as you get older, and you think back at things that you didn't really think too much of, even if they were hurtful. Especially for me, like, because he was like pretty much all I had. So I would like in my head, I'm like, I gotta do whatever I have to do to not lose him and not turn him away, because everyone else just eventually turn their back on me, and I am going to try to do everything I can to make sure that he is not that person also. So I put up with a lot of bullshit that he did. Things that a friend, especially a close friend, would not do to you. Things like, us going on field trips and him just ditching me for other kids, and me just being left by myself. Him knowing that I was by myself and just like, whatever, I'd rather hang out with these kids. Fuck you, pretty much. He didn't say fuck you, but that's pretty much what he did, was a fuck you to me. Basically, like a lot of these overnight trips in school, you had to choose who do you want to bunk with, and no one chose me. Nobody wanted to be with me at all. But he was just like, yeah, I don't care. I'm just going to go with these other kids instead. So that was really hurtful. And that happened many times. Even on a day trip, we had a day trip towards the end of 7th grade to Six Flags. And you only need to have one person. One person to be with the entire time, like who was pretty much your buddy. Like you go on rides together and do all these different things. Everybody else had someone except for me. My own best friend decided to go with someone else and didn't care that I was all alone, and was pretty much like, I had nobody. And it was funny because they said that you had to have a buddy. You had to have someone with you the whole time. But I was just roaming around Six Flags by myself most of the time because no one else wanted to with me. So that kind of sucked. But actually, it really just showed like that I made a huge mistake going to that middle school and not going to the other one, because I had choices. I had a lot of options, because I ended up getting like the highest score, or one of the highest scores on the like middle school entrance exam, like for New York City. So I was able to go to like not any school that I wanted to, because there were a lot of like really tough schools to get into that required you to like show like that you were talented in something, whether it was music or something like that. Like they had like these specialized programs, very competitive. But I had many, many, many different choices, like at least like 6, 7, 8 schools that like were in my general vicinity that I could have went to, but I chose that one, and he was the reason, the main reason why I wanted to go there, because I considered him like, my best friend at the time. Like in the 5th grade, I'm like, I want to continue going to school with this person because he means so much to me, and I don't want to like lose touch with him. I want to stick by his side and stay with him during junior high school. So, but going back to Six Flags, like I really realized at that point that I made a really big mistake going to that school and not choosing this other school, because it was like a joint trip, like kids from one school and kids from my school and kids from the other school went together. Like they went separately, but like they were both there at the same time, if that makes sense. So there were a lot of kids I knew from that other junior high school, like the other one that I would have went to if I didn't go to the one that I actually ended up going to, if that makes any sense. They were both of them were 10 blocks away from where I lived. Both of them actually had a lot of people that I knew beforehand from elementary school, so I would have already had a lot of pre-existing friends. And I decided to go with the other school instead, but going to Six Flags, I actually did hang out with a lot of kids from that other school, and it's just like, wow, like none of the kids from my own school fuck with me, but like seemingly everyone from the other school does. Because these were a lot of kids that I knew from elementary school, from summer camp, from all these different places like previously in my life. So I knew a lot of these kids. And it just felt good, like actually finally feeling like a normal kid and not like this pariah, not someone that everyone just fucking hates and doesn't want to deal with and doesn't want to talk to. Because that's what I was during those 3 years in junior high. So while he was going out with his friend that, was more important than me, and he cared about a lot more than me, and I just, was just whatever, didn't matter. I was, mostly by myself until I ran into the kids from the other school, and then eventually towards the end he's like, "Oh, I feel bad. I should ask him to tag along with us, like him and the other kid that he decided to go with instead of me." It just felt shitty, man. So many different. Just our senior trip in 8th grade to Boston, he went with other kids, the kids that fucking hated me and wanted nothing to do with me, and treated me like shit. But it didn't matter. So, these are things though that I'm just gonna put up with it and deal with it, because literally, if I say I'm not gonna be friends with this kid anymore because I don't feel like he's treating me right, I'm gonna have literally no other person, nobody else. So I just dealt with it. Over time, all those different things, him just kind of drifting away from me and pushing me to the side and just hanging out with with all these other kids, especially as he became more popular. Like 6th grade, I feel like things were a lot better, and then 7th grade and 8th grade, as he started gaining a lot more friends, became more popular, he just, I became more of a nuisance and not someone that was really worth his time anymore. I noticed we hung out a lot less, especially in the 8th grade. We hung out a lot less during that time. And then I was so excited, though, because we ended up getting accepted and going to the same high school. I'm like, oh my God, we can, go to the same school together again. Because, we went to the same school from elementary school, middle school, now high school. That's so cool. And what ended up happening, as soon as we got to high school, it was pretty much like he was a ghost. He didn't exist. I tried to hit him up, talk to him, see how he's doing, all that kind of stuff, and just, talk about stuff that's going on with me. And he's just like, yeah. He literally would say, like, during conversations, like me texting him, he's like, yeah, sorry, I just can't deal with you right now, goodbye. Like, he would actually say stuff like that to me. And I think it just got to a point where I'm just like, okay, we talked to each other a little bit if we ran into each other in the hallway, but whenever I try to hang out with him after school, outside of school, anything like that, he just kind of just blew me off and was just like, oh, I'm busy, I have all these different things to do. And then when I'm trying to text him, he's like, yeah, no, like pretty much like fuck off is what he would say. So it got to a point where like all the little things over the years that he did that were like fucked up and not something a friend, especially a close friend, would do to another friend, I was just like, why am I still putting up with this guy? Especially since I was making like the difference when you actually make a real friend that you can tell values you as a person, cares about you, is willing to talk to you, hang out with you, is not embarrassed being around you. I started actually getting that in high school, something I didn't know in junior high school. So once I actually had that, especially one person in particular who I still consider my best friend to this day, like actually having that and comparing that to my friendship with this kid, I'm just like, wow, like, we never had a real friendship to begin with. He's not a friend. And, like, what he means to me is never how I meant to him. I viewed him as a brother, as my best friend. I was really just a nuisance. So, I got to a point where I'm just like, I sent him a message. I'm like, you know what? I'm tired of this, man. Like, I could tell that you don't really fuck with me anymore. I don't know if you ever fucked with me to begin with. Like, I can't even remember, like, because we've been friends for so many years, but, like, for a long time, you really didn't really care to be in my company, didn't really value me as a person, and I'm just done. And he was just like, he didn't really react, and he was just like, okay, like, So that was it. Probably like 3 months into high school, we were no longer friends and we didn't talk to each other anymore. But it didn't really feel any different, from how it was the last few years, because he just kind of distanced himself from me. We didn't really feel that close anymore. So I was just like, you know what, this is a good thing to just cut him off. And I think it was a good thing for him. I think honestly when I did that, I lifted a huge weight off of his shoulders. He's like, I finally don't have to pretend like I actually care about this person anymore. He's done with me. That's great. So I don't have to feel guilty. I don't have to do it myself. He did it for me. So we never spoke since the first semester of freshman year of high school. We never talked to each other. We'd see each other walk down the hallway and all that kind of thing, and it was just, we wouldn't even acknowledge each other. It would just be like if a stranger walked by, someone I never even met before. And that was that. So I think it's, if there's anything to come, like, to get out of this, it's just like, if you feel like you're not valued as a person, as a friend, it's so much, even if you don't have anyone else, it's truly, honestly better to just be completely alone and have nobody than to have someone that doesn't actually care about you and doesn't value you at all. That's something it took me a long time to learn, especially as an adult. Like, I don't have any time for that bullshit. But yeah, I thankfully, like, he provided a valuable lesson to me, like what is an actual friend and what is not. So I'm grateful to him for teaching me that lesson, as hurtful and painful as it was. But honestly, I wish no ill will against him or anything like that. I don't really think about him that much. I only just, because the whole purpose of this channel is describing different events and things that have happened throughout my life, and he just happened to be on the list. But yeah, I don't really. I hope he's doing well. I hope all of that kind of stuff. I really don't wish anything against him. I'm not like a vengeful person that wishes harm against anyone who's ever wronged me. I really genuinely hope that he's okay and everything's, because at one point I feel like we did have something together. I really do. Like, especially like when we were like really, really young, like 7, 8, 9 years old. Um, but stuff happens, and it doesn't even necessarily mean that he's a terrible person. But there's just certain times when you just don't gel with someone, or people drift apart over the years, and it is what it is. For whatever reason, I just didn't really. I wasn't what he was looking for in a friend, basically. So that's just how it was. So, but at least I officially ended it. So, I think that was the main thing. Like, he could have if he wanted to, but I really think, like, because I was talking to him about stuff that I was going through, struggles in my life, and things that I was dealing with, and I think he felt like, I don't know, maybe if something did happen to me, because I was talking about some really dark and fucked up things, that blood would be on his hands. Honestly, I think that may have been a factor. I don't know for sure. I certainly wasn't trying to guilt him into being my friend. That definitely wasn't the intention. But maybe I did. Honestly, I don't know. Looking back, I'm not sure what I did wrong or what I could have done better, but, it is what it is. Because I ended up actually making real friends and people who did value me in high school and later on in life. So that, I had that, and, he was able to hang out with his own friends and not worry about me anymore. So I think it was a win-win situation.